Hey guys, Chris King here again with another video with our staff, with people on our team. And it's been a little bit since we did one of these. And I think I owe you an apology, Julius, because you've been with us forever and we have not talked to you yet. And people need to know who you are. You guys, this is Julius Walt, LPC-S supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Julius has been with us for many years and does an awesome job with his people. But it's really our job today to give anyone watching this an idea of who you are, dude. So tell me a little bit and us a little bit about like kind of what got you into this profession and this role. Like, what's a little bit of your history? What brings you here?
Let's see. Originally, gosh, it's kind of an accident. Originally, I went to school for renewable energy because I was, gonna change the world. And then I realized I'm very bad at math. And so I
Kind of happened to me too. You get into
so I was
college, you're
like,
like, and then you're like, oh wait, math.
yeah, they were like, we've got a business track, it'll be fine. And I was like, great. I'm
That's
probably
pretty
not good
bad.
at math. And they were like, awesome. It was like, oh, just kidding. Here's a bunch of math. And I was like, oh. So I had left the school to go to a different school, and nobody else had renewable energy. That was not like nobody else had that major. The school, I don't know if nobody wanted it or if my school was very advanced at the time or what. But I left. Nobody else had it. So I picked up what was human services, I believe, was the major at the time. And then, a series of issues happened. I moved back home and went back to the original school, and they had a degree called Family and Human Services. And that was the Bachelor's of Science to get into therapy. And I was in my senior year, and my mentor slash one of the professors there was like, hey, if you want to be a therapist, you have to get a master's, right? And I said, no. No, I didn't know that. So I was like, well, I guess I've got to get a master's. So I took a year off of school and I started working in the field, and I got in at a place called Ozark Guidance Center in Northwest Arkansas. And I was a case manager at the adult intensive outpatient program. And that was, 5 days a week, 9 to 3, clients would show up, sometimes every day that whole time, sometimes once a week for an hour just to see me and everything in between. And that was a very much like intensive in portion of intensive outpatient. Um, so clients with schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, treatment-resistant depression, bipolar, borderline. I've had people throw chairs in group sessions, threaten to punch me, call me a Nazi, uh, go to sleep in session, walk
This
out of
sounds really,
session.
really fun.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. It was like every day was an adventure. I loved it. It
Yeah,
was a ton of
I
fun.
get it.
Everything was new. It was very much like fast-paced, high energy. Like you never know what's going on, which is great. It was a lot of fun, but it was also a little bit taxing because I went back to school, got my master's, did that, night courses over the course of like 2 years or something like that. Two,
Right?
3 years, however long it took. Finished all my hours before I needed to because I switched over from doing case management work there to that being one of my internship sites.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was able to knock a bunch of stuff out there. I did an internship at Mercy Health Clinic, behavioral health clinic as well. That was attached to one of the hospitals there. Um, that was the whole thing. So yeah, and then I, moved up here, had lunch with Chris, and what I thought was just see the area, get to know what's going on as I enter into being a therapist candidate. And at the end of the lunch, you said, "Hey, I'll send the paperwork over to you for to make it all official." And I said, "Okay." And then
Let's
I
work
started working
together.
for it. Yeah, yeah. And I was like, all right, great. And then we started working together. And working together for, gosh, that was 2019. So I started in January of 2020 and we've worked together ever since.
Wow.
And then I've been, finished out my candidacy, did my 2 years of required terminal licensure before I could become a supervisor, became a supervisor, and now I'm here. And all throughout that process, I've worked with you to make our company a real company. As we were so fond of
Yeah.
saying, we're no longer a mom and pop. We're a real deal now. Watch out, world.
That's right. But like, but your investment has been, I'm trying to think of the adjective, incalculable. It's been big. And I don't think a lot of people on the outside might know that or recognize that. So I want people, if people run across this, to know that your commitment to what we do has been a big deal, and your commitment. Well, I mean, let's sidetrack slightly, but like, tell me why it's so important for you to support other therapists in the field, because you've really taken that on in official ways and also just personally in unofficial ways. Like, you're always looking out for the other people on the team. What's up with that? As as my favorite Saturday Night Live skit would say, what's up with that?
It's I don't know, it's just always been a thing. I when I worked in Arkansas, it was for, Ozark Guidance Center, which is now, I believe, Ariza Health was who bought them, and while I was there, they became the largest provider in the state. And they had started out when I started there, they were like the second or third, and through a series of gosh, ugh, rough issues with the other providers that ended up seeing their credentialing stripped for some of them, or Medicaid issues where they just dropped all their people and we picked them up. There was a lot of situations where I saw providers really not taken care of properly. And
Right.
you know, I don't want to say that I've necessarily always been a strong, like, oh yeah, injustice has always been a thing that I've sought out and worked to rectify. But a more commonly used phrase that I always tell people is like, always looking for something new to be mad about. Not in like a bad way, but a new thing to be on fire for, of
Sure.
like, hey, like here's a thing to advocate
Hmm.
for. Always looking, maybe I should be nicer to
Yeah.
myself. Always looking for something new to advocate for. And it's I've seen a lot of clinicians not be treated properly by the powers that be, people
Yeah.
who maybe weren't as plugged into the clinical side or the client side as they should be, and were doing a lot of not that kind of work, and it reflected in the way that they cared for clinicians. And I didn't ever want that to be a thing if I ever had a say in it. And now that was fortunate enough to be able to be in a position with our company that I could have a say in it, well, I will say, I was fortunate enough to be in a position in our company that I could have a say in it. I don't know if I would have let you not let me do that though. I think out of the gate
Right.
I was kind of already doing that, whether that was asked of me or not. That was very
Right.
much a thing that I was like,
It's how you roll.
yeah.
And I just think that's a huge part of our personality as a team. I felt great about it. We had a staffing yesterday, and Stacy brought up something. I loved it because it's something I really, really believe, and I want us all to believe, which is this idea: is that the strongest thing that we bring as a team is not our way of doing things, but it's just our people. It's the therapist. And so,
Hmm.
like, your way of being, your heart for advocacy, like, is a is a big piece of the pie to the heart of our group. Like, it's a big, big deal. And so when you say, like, I would have done it anyway, I'm like, hell yeah, you would have. Like, that's what we want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about a little bit about your work that's going on now, like your clients, your caseload. I mean, obviously, we're
Hmm.
not going to talk about your clients, but
Sure.
what kind of folks do you tend to see? What is your kind of sweet spot? I know a lot of us are fairly general in our outlook. I mean, I am. I think you might be as well. But like, we also kind of have some things we do a lot of as well. How would you answer that?
Sure. I would say that the thing that I have found myself, the first 4 years of the intensive outpatient program, and so it was always like, all right, like we can probably deal with it. And I tell my clients now in my spiel that I give them during intake, like, hey, here's all the stuff that I've done and dealt with. Like, I don't know if what you're bringing in is that level, and usually they chuckle and say it's definitely not. And I say like, great, no worries, like we'll deal with
Right.
it. A lot of the work that I do now is with teens working on self-actualization, like do I want to go to college? What do I want to study? That kind of stuff. Young adults in college, like, is this what I want to do the rest of my life? Like, how am I feeling about this? Um, and then a lot of older adults of kind of figuring out, like, okay, so now what? What next?
Yeah.
I try and approach a lot more existential therapy focus, existential based of like, what's the meaning of life? What are we looking for? What are we trying to do? And a lot of because of my case management background or like my experience in the intensive outpatient, I end up finding myself doing a lot more kind of behavioral therapy and solution focused therapy of hey, what's the problem? How are we addressing this? Because, if you can't get past these basic stressors, then you're not ever going to be able to deal with the like, what's the meaning of life? And like, what do I want to do? And how do I
Yeah.
feel about this stuff? The most extreme example I give is clients that I had who like, hey, like, if you don't know where you're going to get food, or if you don't know if your lights are going to be on, we're not going to process your emotions. We got bigger fish to fry at that point. And that's what I still take that approach with clients currently of like, hey, if you like, let's triage whatever's going on, and then we'll talk about some of the like deeper stuff because we're not going to talk about that if you're worried about all this other stuff. It's just not going to happen. Um, so a lot of trying to make clients feel comfortable, a lot of getting people to a position of being able to laugh, being able to talk. I don't, gosh, I like to laugh in session. I think that that's a thing that I bring to clients a lot of times. I've never been accused of being quiet whenever I laugh in session, and I've regularly been told that I can be heard from multiple offices down. So I apologize to all of my fellow clinicians and their clients. But like, it's fun.
This is your public reckoning. I
Yeah,
just want
yeah,
to go
yeah.
on the record right now to apologize to all
Yeah.
of you guys that heard me laugh down the hall.
Yeah. I did. I did. Someone stopped me in the hall the other day and was like, "Man, new record. I heard you from two offices down in the middle of session." And I said, "Sorry, but also I'm not sorry."
Sorry,
Like,
not sorry.
yeah, yeah. It was a good session and it's a good way to connect. Like you got to deal, you laugh or you cry. And there's plenty of crying that goes on in session too. That's part of life, but like there's a lot of good. There's a lot of things that we can have fun with and still deal with our stressors. And gosh, I would rather laugh. If those are my only options, I'd rather laugh about it and be able to work on it at the same time and have a little fun with it because I got to deal with it one way or the other. So I don't know how clear that is about what I bring to the table, but try and make it good, try and make it stuff that we
It's
work
it's,
on.
it's
And
awesome. Well, no, that's awesome. But like also like the whole triage thing, like I find it amazing that I used to talk when I taught intro to psych or when I was taking like I'm like Maslow, yeah, yeah, yeah. The dude knew what was up. And so when I hear you talk about that emphasis on like, and my big word, or it's everybody's disoriented, everybody's lost or stuck, and they can't like get to the heart of the matter on their own generally when they come. And so you helping them get clarity like is a massive thing. Like that I love your priorities there. It's huge. Just
yeah,
saying.
it's good.
Okay. Yeah, well, okay. Tell me, all right. I think you answered my next question a little bit with that, like, which is just, but you can. So I guess I'll give you like it's the double. Like, what do you really enjoy and love? Like, you're kind of on that take right now. Like, what do you love about it? And then, but what's also challenging or hard about your role as a therapist for you?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, yeah, you're right. I guess I did kind of answer that. I do really enjoy laughing with clients. I really enjoy being able to dig into stuff. I enjoy being able to um, challenge clients. I write compassionate confrontation. I feel like more often than others do in my documentation, in terms
Uh-huh.
of like how I work with clients. But I always tell people in intake like, hey, I'm not gonna beat you over the head with the stuff we got to work on, but like part of the reason you're here is so that I can push you a little bit on stuff. That's why you came,
Mm,
is so that we can work on stuff, and I'm not gonna let you get away with that. And that's varying degrees of engagement with clients. For some people, that's just like, hey, like it's meandering and eventually we get around there. And for some people, it's like, hey, you're clearly being avoidant right now because you brought up this entirely different thing. Like, let's get back on what we're doing.
hmm.
And
Right.
giving them a bit of a hard time about that. And usually that's not, I don't do that without having already built the rapport. And I really enjoy being able to build that rapport and being able to redirect and challenge people in that way. Um, Things that are difficult. Gosh, I don't know if I've ever felt like I am a good or competent therapist. So that's my own internal failings are probably the difficult aspects of every time I meet with somebody. I'm always like, all right, like how are we doing on this? Like, am I meeting with
Yeah,
them
right.
properly? Like, are we connecting? Is
Yeah.
this going well? Is this
Yeah.
effective? And I mean, so far so good.
I would say this though, that like, you know, we can talk about imposter syndrome. We're not feeling like we're competent or whatever, but there's a certain line in that questioning of ourselves that is called humility.
Sure.
And it's essential. Like, and I mean, I just love you, man. Like the idea of like we don't have to be the be all end all experts about everything. We are joining with people to collaborate to help them move forward in their lives.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're going to know a lot of stuff, and sometimes maybe not as much. And so that spirit of humility, like, is a connector, actually. And you're like, oh gosh, did I do it well enough? I mean, like, I think we all should be asking that, at least sometimes. And hopefully
Yes.
sometimes we're saying, I nailed that too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely days where it's like, man, I was on it today, felt really connected, felt like I really dived deep with everybody, really made some solid progress. And then, there's some
Yeah,
days where I'm just like, man, I don't know if I made any difference for anybody today. Like,
right.
and that happens, and that's okay. And I always have to remind myself of that. You may not feel
Yeah.
confident all the time, but you have the knowledge, you have the experience, you know what you're doing. I mean, shoot, I've been doing this for between the case management and everything else, it's been 10 and a half years. I started in 2015 was when January 2015 was when I started in this field. So God, we're coming up on the full 11 at this point.
But
But
can we say with our math that you've seen a lot of people
I've seen a lot of people. Yes,
equals
I've
a
seen a
lot of
lot of people.
people? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're taking all the cool kid insurances. We want to make sure and let people know, and it's not rolled out yet. Of course, you might be watching this in 2028, so I don't really know. But like as we were recording this, like we just got paneled with community care, and so that'll be new. And those of people that have community care insurance, Julius will be available for that. And Blue Cross and United and Health Choice and Medicare, and you do some Medicaid sooner care work as well. You got a variety of people paying the bills and kind of bringing other clients to the house. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you see them all,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whatever insurance you got, just about, I got it covered. And I'm always willing to
pretty
work
much.
with people on that. I don't ever want
Yeah,
finances or insurance to be a barrier to treatment, and that's something I tell people every intake session is that if it were up to me, we wouldn't have to deal with it at all because I think that's a terrible barrier to treatment, and I'd love for you to just be able to come in and see me and for us to work on
yep,
stuff. But that's the world we live in, and I too have to pay bills.
yep, yep. That is right. Well, how can people reach you? Because if you're watching this and you're like, oh gosh, I mean, I'll say this: like, if you're interested in working with Julius, you can call our office 918-760-5243, or email our office at info@chriskingcounseling.com. As of this recording, we don't have our GPS therapies emails set up yet, but Google GPS therapies like that. We have the websites up too. I mean, what's your direct contact? People want to email you to get a hold of, ask you some things.
I mean, yeah, you can just go through the office. If
Mhm.
you want to do direct, it's just julius@chriskingcounseling.com. Very
Yeah,
straightforward.
yeah. Um, Anything else you want to tell the world? Because there could be dozens of people that watch this.
Um, Gosh, I mean, a little more about what I bring to the table. I'm big into gardening, and so I do a lot of plant-based
Mm,
analogies, which
thank
probably
you.
makes people sick of listening to me about it. But I've got a bunch of plants in my office, and I brought a strawberry from home from our garden that I transplanted. I brought, a series of other things, and so I'm always my new goal this year will be to see how many wild things I can get to grow inside that shouldn't be grown inside. And boy, if I can produce like a tomato or a pepper this year, watch out, world. I'm unstoppable.
Hey, what are some of your greatest hits at the Christmas party? Because I have two that I'm like big winners, but you always bring,
I
like, you tend to try to do things that you've grown, which I love.
I do. I really love gardening and I don't keep most of what I grow, if only because, gosh, nobody's gonna eat 5 gallons worth of super hot peppers. That's too much. So So I have brought to our Christmas party, I've brought the peppers that I have made. We call it death glitter. So we grow super hot peppers and then I dehydrate
Death
them and
glitter.
then blend it up in a blender. And then it's like imagine red pepper flakes, but like the second that you open it, it's like chemical warfare. And then you put it on your food, and it's delicious and tasty. So that's really good. And then I brought loofahs. Contrary to popular belief, loofahs do not grow in the ocean. They are not a sea sponge. You can grow them in your backyard in most of the US. And so I've grown them and brought them in along with a billion loofah seeds. And that's on my list. I'm gonna try and grow one of those in the office this year. So watch out. I may have a very long loofah vine wrapping around my window this time next year with a giant. They're big. They're sizable with a giant loofah on there, and then I'll give that away to the first client that wants it, or the first person that walks in and cuts it off.
Dude, okay. You guys, Julius has a few openings, and sometimes he'll be on a wait list, and sometimes he'll have openings. But if watching this video, you're like, I think that would work. That would fit. Like, that's the reason why we're doing this. Like, we're not trying to set YouTube on fire. We're trying to produce a tool that's usable for potential clients and for your friends and family, things like that. And so please share it with other people. And Julius is available and does an awesome job with our team. Dude, thanks for this time today. I appreciate your time. It's a big deal.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you later. Thank you.
All right, go team.
Go team.